Hello.
How are you?
Dude, if I could explain my story, it would take too long. Don't worry, I do actually have proof.
Do you have time to explain your story a little bit? I'm pretty curious.
Yeah, man. Well, do you want me to begin?
Yeah, start away. Start from the beginning.
Right. Well, about 6 years ago, when I was 18 years old, somebody broke into my house, and I don't know how they did it. Right. Um, And then what happened is I woke up one morning and I didn't know anyone had been in, anything like that. I just woke up. I felt really drowsy and I had these two lumps on my neck, like, when you pop a zit or something like that.
Okay.
One was on the left hand side and one was on the right hand side, just a little bit back. They weren't in the same position. Now, it was really strange to us, but, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, I haven't been in the shower for a day. I've probably gotten some spots and, they're just spots. Well, little behold did I know, 2 years later, I get these new neighbours who come from Germany, and pretty much this weird stuff starts to happen in my house, like really weird. Like I'll begin to explain. So, for example, one of the things I can remember is I woke up one morning and I started hearing voices in my head. Now, I thought genuinely it was down to my cannabis use, because obviously I did smoke cannabis at the time, but I'm fully clean now. I've been off it for a lot of months. Um, and it's just a really weird one when I say this, but I felt like people kept on coming in the house, like I was waking up and having like sleep paralysis, as everyone explained it. Now
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that, to be frank with you. But I was waking up in the morning with more red dots in my arm. Like people, like there was one memory I do believe that when I woke up one morning, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning that this happened. I woke up and somebody was standing over me and they stabbed me in the arm with something. And for about 15 seconds, I tried my best to fight. I was half asleep. I just literally woken up in shock. And I saw one person stand over and I tried to move and they stabbed us in the arm. And then somebody grabbed my shoulders and somebody grabbed my legs. And I tried to get out. I tried to get out and I couldn't get out. And then I wake up in the morning with loads of red dots on me. So at certain points, have you seen the picture I put about the muscles and the black dots, the
Yeah.
implant? Well, that's where the red dots appeared. That's where the secondary ones, the only first ones I had were in my neck. Um, and ever since then, I've been working it out and working it out. And I came across some research by Ada Poon, who is from Stanford University. And it basically explained my theory because now I'm holding a multimeter. Do you know what a multimeter is?
No.
A multimeter is a tool used to measure electricity,
Oh, okay, okay.
right? And it's in the default pin holders. Now, I'm currently putting it against my wall because they can hear everything I state and they can steal my thoughts. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but literally they're doing it by induction. So anything I say is being picked up. They can hear us through, I think, microphones in the walls as well, which is really strange. I know. But let's just put it this way. Right now, there is a current coming through my wall at DC current, which is direct current at 0.6 millivolts. Now, if you search the documentation in the Stanford University research, you need between 10 and 20 millivolts just to start a standard connection that they did with rats. Now, anywhere I go in my house, you can pick up these currents from both sides of the walls. Now, I'm not accusing both neighbours of being involved. I know one of them is the German ones, but you see, my other neighbour goes away for about a week at a time, 2 weeks, because he works somewhere down London, as far as I'm aware. And I know he had a lot of work done, and his cars weren't there at the time. That was the really strange thing. So either they
Hmm.
picklocked his door and put them in his walls. I don't know. But one of the things that clued me in about the electricity is when I was sleeping downstairs one night, I literally woke up and I was cooking from the inside. I literally couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I was on fire. And I hadn't been doing any drugs at this point. That was the really weird thing. And I woke up in the morning again, and my skin was all red and itchy. I had red dots all over it, like I'd been cooked. It was so bloody strange. But why I've come down to the German bind theory is because I genuinely, for years in my head, and I mean this properly, I heard that I was a spy for GCHQ. Do you know who they are?
Nah, I'm not familiar.
That's the Global Communications Headquarters. It's the spy agency for England, for the UK.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's what I heard for years in my head. And obviously, I'm a software programmer. I crack things, for fun, which is why the
Yeah.
picked is. Um, and for years, like literally for 4 years, this is what was going through my head, and they were just saying, this is a test. We're testing you to see if you can work with us." And then on the 2nd of June, between the 25th and the 2nd of June, they kept saying in my head, "I need to apply for a job at GCHQ." Now they kept on winding us up, making us look mentally unwell. Now I just want to declare, I am on antipsychotic medication, a lot of it, and this stuff hasn't gone away. That's the weird thing. You would think after a while of taking antipsychotic medication, this thing would bugger off. Well, it hasn't.
Yeah, it's still persisting.
Yeah, I can still feel the bumps in my hands. I can feel when they put the electricity up, and I've got proof of it. I posted it to YouTube when you can see us saying "ow, ow, ow" every time I do that. The current alternates. Now, here's the strange thing. You know, neodymium magnets.
Okay, yeah.
I can stick them to my neck. Now, there was loads of them scattered around my house that I scattered them around just to hide them. They have all gone, and I don't know who removed them.
Okay, I have a few questions now.
Okay.
Whenever you were sleeping and you felt that like stab in your arm,
I didn't feel it. That was the thing. The stab was somebody knocking me out, because when I woke up in the morning, I had two little pinpricks in my arm, like they'd injected us with an insulin pen.
oh, so it wasn't like a knife stab; it was more like a needle prick.
No, it was a needle prick. Like genuinely,
Okay.
my own mother can back me up on that one.
Okay, so whenever you woke up, was that like hours later or?
So I'd wake up, like I'd go to sleep at, say, for example, say 10 o'clock in the evening. This would happen around about 4, 3 o'clock in the morning when you're in a deep sleep.
Yeah.
And then I would wake up around about 10 hours later after 4 o'clock. So I'd wake up between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, which is really strange because I'm a light sleeper. I only sleep certain amounts of times, and I only ever get between 6 and 8 hours. And whenever they've done this, I've had extended sleep and you wake up really drowsy.
What do you think the motivation is? Like, what do you think they're getting out of this?
I know that because I can picture, like I was on, for example, before I started exposing this, I was linked to a supercomputer because my coding skills really increased, which was really strange, I must admit. But they tell you how to do things, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I never knew assembler, if you know what that is, or...
Yeah.
Well, I've never known assembler, but now I'm a really good assembler programmer. Like, I've cracked the format of it, everything. If you check my blog, you'll see what I mean.
So, are they like taking your thoughts or controlling them, or like
Doing both.
putting thoughts into you?
Yes. I know it
So
sounds
that's
really weird, but it's the
well.
truth.
I know a lot of people would just like play this off as craziness or whatever, but it's something you
Mental health and
experience
everything
daily.
else.
And so, if I put a multimeter up to my wall, would it read nothing?
It should. Well, you'll still get a background current because you've still got radio signals. So I estimate that if you put a multimeter up to your wall on an AC current when you switch it to the bold setting, if you go into select range, you should get between 0.0003 or zero 0.03, depending on your multimeter. And on DC, you should experience only a low voltage. If you turn off all the electricity in your house, that's a strange thing. There's still a current coming through my wall.
Oh, so even if you like go to the main circuit breaker and turn it off, you're still getting something.
Yes. And when I go out in the street, which is really weird, and this is the only theory I can explain behind it, it's got to be either a cell phone mast, the thing that the mobile phone sends and receives from, or it's a GPS satellite. Because if you think, dude, how small is the little antenna inside of your phone?
Oh, they're insanely small.
These things in my neck and my body are literally the size of a grain of rice. They're a big lump. You can feel them. Like I'm putting it over the implant in my left hand in my neck, and I can feel it moving. I can actually pick it out in my muscle. Like they've implanted them all in my muscles, and I've got scars everywhere on my face, on my arms, everywhere. You can see where they put these things in. And you know what it is, dude? I have been to the hospital and I've said this, and what they've said is I'm basically crazy. I'm basically having a meltdown. When I'm not, I know this is real. Like, I've got no other way to prove this. And one of the things I'm actually going to work on now, I don't have the money to do it, but I'm going to save up to do it. It might take me a few weeks. Do you know what a Faraday cage is?
The name Faraday is familiar, but I don't know the cage.
Right. A Faraday cage is where you get copper mesh, right? Yeah, I'm sure you understand what copper mesh is.
Okay, I think, is that where like you can't get any radio signals or cell phone signals inside of it?
Well, you can still broadcast some from the inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and I'm going to build a power source that gives these implants power, because I don't believe the body's powering them. That's why you've got the induction loop, which is why the current is coming through the wall. I'm going to do that, and I'm actually going to build a program to pick up all the radio waves it picks inside that Faraday cage, and I'm going to see if I can decode them, and I'm going to see if I can write a program of such to actually decode what I say in my brain. So if I said hello world in my brain, if I can make it come out on the screen, that looks automatically dodgy. So then I can ask other people around me, look, tell me to say something in my brain. And if it comes out on screen, it should prove, if you know what I mean. It's very hard because I'm not that much of an electrical engineer. I've still got a lot to learn, but I've figured all this stuff out so far. So do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a pretty good way to try to debunk this, see what they're doing. And do you think there's going to be an easy way to decode the messages, or like it could be encrypted?
I have no general idea, but I would think with them being so small, there's either a passive encryption, which means they've developed something quite small, like, the Enigma code.
Yeah.
They've made something like that, or it's just raw brain signals. Because, come on, I've just said this to you, and people don't believe this. I've got people on the threads on Reddit, on Twitter, calling me mentally unwell. And I mean, I'm open to it, you know what I mean? I'm not disproving this, but I've had this for so long. Like, this hasn't gone away for me, and I can still hear them now telling me stuff in my head. And the biggest thing they've been telling me, they've been asking me to go to Munich, Germany. They said, "You're a spy, come and join us." Which I honestly, dude, I wouldn't make this up. This is the honest truth. And nobody's backing me up. Like, I've tried messaging GCHQ and they've blocked me on Twitter. So I can't do anything. I've been to the police station and they referred me to a community psychiatrist. It's so insulting. It's just...
Yeah, they just tear you down.
It's not that. I mean, do I sound mentally unwell to you? Do I sound crazy, like a crackpot conspiracy theorist?
There's theorists everywhere. I mean, and some things are worse than most, but I mean, you can never know, There's probably something.
But the thing is, I'm trapped and I don't know what to do, because this is all behind my neighbour's walls. It took them a month to do their side of the wall. They covered the entire of my house with this electrical current. No matter where I go, I turn the main electricity off, I can still get the same induction current coming through. It's so horrible, dude. I can't. I'm not about to rip my neighbour's walls down. I can if I really want to, but I'll get arrested and they'll be like, "Oh my god, you crackpot conspiracy theorist! You need help, blah blah blah. You're mentally unwell."
Yeah.
Dude, I'm fighting a losing battle. I'm really fighting a losing battle, and I'm losing the will to live, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
Mentally unwell. And it's like, I'm not.
You mentioned that you were on psychotic medication, correct?
Yes.
Did you have anything, like any other strange things happen to you that have stopped since taking that?
No, nothing. I've had no weird experiences. Everything that's happened before I took the medication is still happening. That's the problem. Is everything, and people have promised me, they're like, "Oh, they're just voices in your head, they'll eventually go away." No, they haven't. They're telling me things that I can physically see them stealing my thoughts. I can block them for a certain amount of time. Your brain, if you challenge your brain enough, you can block what they say. But the one thing I cannot stop is them electrocuting me, like the boiling my blood. Like right now, I'm saying this, my arms, my legs are all aching. I can feel my blood being pressurized through my brains. It is so disgusting. It's so unethical.
Have you tried, like, staying at a friend's house or something to see if these go away? Because, like, obviously they don't have all, like, these other houses rigged.
No, they don't. But here's the problem, though. This is what makes me believe it's on a satellite dish. It's on some sort of GPS system, or it's on a cell phone receiving dish. Why I think that is because I actually moved out a while ago. I got so mentally unwell, as I would claim it, as I did. After all this happened to us, I was trying to explain it to everybody. I moved out around the corner, which is too far away. I had no idea I was picking this house. I got it randomly by chance. I moved into this house, and basically what happened is all of this stopped. The only thing I could hear was they could still talk to me and project thoughts onto my brain. They couldn't cook me. They couldn't, they couldn't... I didn't notice any currents coming through the wall, if that makes sense. Like, it was only the standard background radiation of the Earth, the radio signals, the Wi-Fi. They're the only signals I could pick up. And as soon as I came back to live with my mum's, they literally started doing it again.
So while you were away, you could still hear them trying to persuade you.
Yes. And that's the weird thing, because I've told them multiple times, fuck off, get out of my head. I'm not joining Bind. So I don't know where to go with this, to be quite frank with you. Like, I'm stuck. I'm trapped.
You ever tried to get like an MRI or something?
Time I've tried it, it's either been cancelled or when they've done it, they've convinced me enough. Like that was the thing. A couple of years ago, they will keep saying, you work for GCHQ, you work for GCHQ. And it was only my mother who actually explained to me. She's like, if this guy's hacking you in your head, why haven't GCHQ came in to your rescue and helped you? And that's when it clicked in. They wanted me to apply for jobs. It's spy agencies, at the police, everything like that, because that's what they're telling us to do. They want to spy on people. That's the weird thing.
Have you encountered anybody else that's like has a similar problem?
No, genuinely, because everyone else has just accepted it. They've realised that you can't get them removed because people don't take you seriously. I know my next door neighbours, her name is right, and you can search her on. Because here's the funny thing: this guy, there was two people that moved in. There was the German woman, and there was a guy. Now, when I first met him, we had a bit of a disagreement. I was playing loud music, and what happened is he came to the door, and I basically told him to fuck off because I was young at the time. I was only 18. I was basically drunk and having a good time. You know how it goes. And I called him. I knew his name was because he said, "Hello, I'm from next door." So basically, I went back up in my mind. And I just thought of a nickname for him. I called him, which I referred to as Headfucker. And lo and behold, last year he changed his name to, which was so strange. And no, dude, I know.
He changed his surname.
He changed his surname. Didn't shout it out or anything like that. I said it in my mind, and he changed his name to it.
I mean, that's pretty damning evidence.
Dude, I know, and I've taken this to the police, and they're just like, dude, you're having a meltdown, believe us, we're professionals. And it's like, do you want us to punch you in the face or something? I'm telling you the logical truth here, and nobody's understanding me. It's so frustrating. Like,
oh, I get that.
Dude, do you really think I would post my own home address? I'm sure you've seen in the documentation called Operation Comeback, because it's a comeback, because people think I'm mentally unwell. Do you really think I would post my own home address on the internet and start spreading it around for the shits and giggles?
Yeah, that would be ridiculous just to do for fun.
Dude, I really want people to come investigate this. I want people to come rip down these bloody walls and tell me that I'm the mental one. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it though. They're all laughing at us, and it's just like, I couldn't give a shit. I can be trolled all you want, but I know what's true, and I've said the truth. And every single time they boil my blood, I'm genuinely, dude, I was coughing up blood this morning. Like, it's getting really serious now for me, and there's nothing I can do. And I hope whatever you've heard from this, whatever you take from it, spread it round for us. Just please try and get it out there, because people are trying to cover this up, and this is the problem. You see, GCHQ and Bind have never really gotten along, and I'm assured they probably owe each other a few favours. Now, this looks really bad if the Germans have come into my country and started tagging people up, because I'm not the only one, and I know I'm not, because my phone line has been tapped, my computers have been tapped, my mobile phone has been tapped, my brain has been tapped, all my passwords have gone, like stuff has randomly disappeared overnight, and it's like, I'm the most security conscientious bugger going, and I've still been hacked. Like, it's impossible to know, and this is when it comes down to it. They've hacked my brain, and I know they have, because I can feel them now stealing all the information I'm saying. I can hear them listening to me.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like yourself in a dialogue. The only way I can work this out is, look at it in this way. I am linked to a supercomputer somewhere, which is taking a brain scan of mine, and it's keyed together the parts. Because here's another funny thing. This is how I worked that one out. You see, there was loads of wires under my floorboards that were inserted 6 years ago, and I'm 100% sure they led to microphones and cameras to see where I was and what I was doing. You see, they removed them not so long ago. And you see, when I found these wires out, I went out the next day. I went to a crisis team meeting, as they're called, and I was out the house for about 4 hours, and I shit you not, these wires and everything else disappeared. I never got a chance to investigate them. Like, dude, it is so unreal.
So you found them, and then you were not in your house, and when you came back, they were gone.
Yeah, absolutely gone, vanished, no trace of them.
How do you know what they were running to?
Well, because you see, for a while, my mother, her power bill was extortionately high. And as soon as they were removed, the power usage went down.
So they also use your electricity, not their own?
Yes, I think they're using their own electricity because whenever I turn the main power switch off, the electricity on the other side of the wall doesn't stop. Now, I know how easy it is to rig the electricity. I'm just going to admit that. You just go through the main power line, you get on a rubber mat, you use wooden tools, you get a sharp blade, you just cut into the wire. That's all you're doing. You just expose the copper, you solder something on with wooden handles. Obviously, you don't want 100 amps going through your heart, to be frank.
Yeah.
It is so easy to rig electricity under the floorboards, and then people come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, the meter looks absolutely fine." They're not going to notice a few couple of hundred volts going missing, are they?
Yeah, that's true.
To say to you other than, dude, this is really scary shit, and my life is over. Like no one's believing us, and I've got no choice to do anything. Like they're controlling my arms, they're controlling my legs. I can feel them trying to do it. I'm resisting it, but they can control every single aspect of my body. It is so fucking scary. It's so unethical.
If they have so much control of you, why do they allow you to try to expose them?
That's the problem. You see, I heard a while ago because I kept resisting it and I was trying to post it on Reddit and they kept blocking it, right? But you see, this is the problem. They want people to know about it in a sense. They do because people won't believe it because they'll just go, oh, that guy's mentally unwell. So I can't prove it goes to Germany other than the fact that I've got German neighbours. This guy, after the wires were removed, disappeared. He moved out of the house. Like, dude, I've got no other way of proving it's Germany other than I've heard German voices in my head. They've spoken German before. And I honestly, dude, I have never, ever, ever heard German. I'm English. I've never looked at it in school, nothing.
That's really interesting.
And dude, I don't know what else to do, to be frank. I mean, if you've got any advice, I will happily take it. I really will, because I would love to prove this to people and show them that this is happening and that this is the future. It's called optogenics.
Optogenics.
Yes, certainly. And I only learned that thanks to a research document by Ada Poon. So thank you very much to her for posting that bloody research.
Yeah. How, do you have any other, theories, or are you pretty sure about what is happening here?
Dude, I promise you, I am 100% sure that this is happening.
Do you have any other theories? Like maybe it's, I don't know, like aliens or whatever,
No, it's not aliens. I wish it was. No, dude, it's the German government. I know it is. You know why they originally started to come over, right? They originally did this is because, have you ever heard of Xbox 360s?
Yes.
Have you ever hacked one of them?
No.
Right. Well, I was a very famous modder back in the day. I was called Mega Save. And what I did is I reverse engineered the Xbox 360 called a keyboard generator, right? Now, it wasn't a generator as such. It didn't actually give valid keys. But when you go on Xbox Live, you have a serial number on your console. I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
All of that information is stored in something called a key vault. Now, what I found was, I'm sure you probably might have heard of the Linux King Kong hack where you can get Linux to boot on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I did. I booted into Linux, the kernel. Instead of resetting the kernel, I changed it so it left the kernel in its original position. And then all I did was I wrote a simple piece of code that went to a memory pointer. I can't remember the memory pointer, but I literally reverse engineered the kernel. I found the key vault loading data, and I skipped the hash checks, right? And one thing I figured out was if you go on Xbox Live with that, it doesn't check the validated signature. You got this information. That's all I did. And I publicly posted about it, but I never released it. And then a year later, I have this shit happen to me.
How old are you now, and how old were you when this started?
I was 18 when it started, and I've just recently turned 24.
So this is a 6-year endeavor you've been going through.
But I wrote the Key Vault program when I was between 16 and 17. Like, dude, I also promise you as well, I have been off drugs. I'm on no illegal drugs, anything like that. I've been off them for months because I thought this was all down to drugs and everything like that. But seriously, it's never gone away, which is quite sad.
What drugs, if you don't mind me asking?
I was on cannabis.
Just marijuana?
Yes, just marijuana. That was it.
From what I know, that doesn't typically have that kind of effect, even heavy use.
Dude, I was a heavy user for around about 4 years, and then I cut down on it because I thought this all this shit was happening because of the cannabis. Um, but honestly, I've been clean for months now. I haven't touched a drop of it
So why would they come to you after hacking an Xbox 360?
because this is the actual thing about it. I would say I'm a very intelligent person because I do think of random theories, which I know I'm really good at. But you see, the theories I create, I actually go out and do them. So there was one of them that they stole off me, which was I got a question in my mind, and they said, "How would you stop people leaking data?" And I simply thought, well, hang on a second, why not log every single command that goes through the CPU? That's one of the things they stole off me. And it wouldn't surprise me in a couple of months whether or not they've built a CPU that logs every single command. So they can work out what was stolen and what was not. Other theories I've thought of, for example, I've thought of theories that how to scan the entire universe with using an ultimate power of using, like, the Higgs boson, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know how that was found in CERN?
How it was found?
Yeah, you know how the
No.
particles all smash together and it creates new particles. Well, look at it in this way. They've got it in CERN in Switzerland. It goes from the borders of France to Switzerland, I think.
Oh, the Atom
Um,
Smasher?
yes, that. If you
Okay.
smash an atom together, it creates an unrealistic amount of power. It's quantum physics. If you could access that power, I assure you, you could build an X-ray scanner that could broadcast the entire of the universe and come back to it. You use the universe against its own right. That is possible if you figure out how to use that power. Things like that.
We haven't figured out how to use that power?
No, we haven't. But we've figured out how to put implants in people and create an induction loop so they respond back.
I mean, apparently.
Dude, I know, right? It sounds so crazy, and I'm sorry that you haven't to talk to me, but I
No, I
hope that
wanted to. This is interesting to me.
telling you, you think about it and you go, is this possible? Because I know it's possible. It's happened to me. And whether you believe me or not, I am open to all criticism. And I think I've proved this beyond reasonable doubt. Like, the last thing I have to do is build a Faraday cage, pick up my own wireless signals, and actually talk. And I can literally, if I can decode the brain, it's really hard because I have no clue how to do it. Like, I am a noob when it comes down to, I'm not a noob in programming.
But yeah,
But
to decode like synapses is not, that wouldn't be an easy
yes,
task.
but all I'm going to say is, if there is a current that comes from, because all I would do is I would create a radiograph and I would monitor the currents. That's all I would do. And there would obviously be a spike in electricity where the main power was coming through. But if there's more wavy lines in each thought that I thought, so if I said hello world in my mind, or I said good evening, sir, in my mind, they should differentiate between the two of them. Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, also, I feel like you should try to do something like more, it takes more brain power, like solve a Rubik's Cube or something that takes like a little more thought, see if like it's more intense or whatever.
Dude, I have no idea how to do that, but I will try that. Thanks for that.
Like while you're in your Faraday cage, just see if like whatever data you're getting back is more intense whenever you're doing something with that takes more thought
Yeah.
than just saying a sentence.
Well, I think that proves it enough because if I'm sitting in my computer and I ask somebody else and I say, look, tell me to say something in my brain, if I can then get it to say it on the screen, if it's totally random, because I cannot predict what someone's going to say. Does that make sense? I cannot. I cannot predict what someone's going to say. So if someone tells me
Yeah, yeah.
something
So if you just
random,
say something super
I say it in
random,
my mind. In the code, if you know what I mean, I'll compile the code in front of everybody that's there, and I'll say, look, there is no words, there is nothing in there other than this library that basically picks up radio signals and it echoes it out on the screen. What I do fortunately have is I have quite a lot of computing power, so I can theoretically build my own supercomputer that can process all of this information. The only thing I'm clueless about is how do I pick it up? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
I've
feel like
never
it
looked
has.
into it.
I feel like it has to be some sort of like self-learning program where you would think of a thought, and as that's happening, type it in. The same, like if you say you think the word horse, and then also type in the word horse, so that the
Yeah.
program can relate the two together.
The only other way I'd be able to do it is if, like, them brain skull caps that MIT have, where you
Yeah,
see them on.
yeah.
If I'm able to get that, and I'm able to not plant electrodes in somebody, but able to broadcast the thought to somebody. And if I thought really hard and then transferred it to them, that's how I'd be able to do it as well. But dude, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not about to go and spend like $1,000 on a bloody brain skull cap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to do this cheaply, and I need to do this efficiently.
I think your idea with the Faraday cage, I mean, it might not be something you could decode and see if like they can know specific thoughts, but I think you'll definitely get some data back that could be helpful.
Usable. Because there's the thing: if people ask me to think, and you see the break, you see the spike, even if I kind of decode it, that's still something. Like, where is that signal coming from? The only thing, like, what I'd do is I'd do a test beforehand. For 10 minutes, I'd record all signals, right? I wouldn't think, I'd just sit there and be dumb. And then what would happen is you'd pick up my laptop or whatever equipment I have in there, and I could say, right, this is a static test. You see these jumps and everything like that. If they're static and they remain the same and they don't become dynamic, then they're the same signal, because Wi-Fi cards should just only output between 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. The electricity power, I know I need 20 millivolts of DC current to inject them into the, not inject them, but, broadcast the implants.
Yeah.
I know I need that. So that'll all show up on a radio frequency graph. And then if I think of something and it suddenly spikes, that's proof in itself, is it not?
The only thing is, it's hard to sit and think about nothing.
I know.
I feel like you need to put someone else inside your whatever setup you decide to have, and like
that
see.
Is a really good idea, dude.
Have them as a control.
Much. But there's the problem, dude. I've been tagged up. What about my family? I don't know if they've been tagged up. I've checked their necks, and they've got one on each side. That's the problem. Like every.
They also do.
Yes, and they don't believe me. They're just like, oh, they're random lumps on my neck. And it's like, no, it's not.
It's like, not everybody has those. It's not just...
Yeah, I know, but this is the thing. Who do I find that doesn't have one?
That's a great question.
Because there's a lot of people around my area. Like, for example, when they tapped my phone line, they were obviously orders given to somebody. I don't know if they were German or what, but they both smiled at me as I walked on by and I saw them messing with my telephone line. Do you know what I mean? My next door neighbours, I can hear my next door neighbours. One of them has a southerner accent who's from London. The other one has a German accent.
It's very interesting.
Dude, it's a super cool technology. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm really impressed by it, but it's been abused because all my passwords, all my thoughts, all my theories, everything has been stolen from me, and I literally don't know what to do. I am trapped in this house. I have nowhere to go. I have nowhere I can go on the street and just bugger off from the world. Like, I am literally trapped. The best thing I can do is build a Faraday cage and just sit in it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully if you do that, you get some relief from the constant thoughts and everything else.
This is the thing. This is the other thing that really scared me, was I posted also in one of the timeline documents that I literally went to a shop called Tesco. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tesco. I don't know if you have them over in the States.
No.
Well, they're just like Walmart. They're a really big company. They've got big shops everywhere that sell everything. I went to Tesco one day and my brain went into overdrive. And when I mean overdrive, I literally mean they were broadcasting so much stuff to me. I could not even walk. I could not talk. I was literally at their mercy. And I collapsed when I was in the middle of this shop. And it felt like I was schizophrenic. I couldn't stop anything. My brain literally went haywire. And then what happened was I was taken to hospital. And when I got inside of the hospital, my neck started to burn really badly. Always like a taste in my neck was electricity. It's like, you ever eaten something lemony?
Yeah.
It tastes like lemon at the back of my throat. And what they did was, over the period of, I think, about 6 hours, they reprogrammed my mind and it went all back to normal. This was like just an episode, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's what they passed it off as. But no. I literally, in the morning, my throat was I couldn't swallow nothing. And I try to tell people this, and they're like, Jed, you're having another meltdown. This is this, this is that. And it's like, no. I'm trying to honestly tell you this, but nobody believes me. My family do believe it, but you see, unfortunately, at the minute, my mom's currently having bad news. She might have cancer, which, this is the thing. If I can prove this theory, because it's not a theory, I'm only saying that because you're here, because I've got to still admit it is a theory. Does that make sense? if it turns out, because my mother has had cancer before, if it turns out that all this extra electricity has been radiating to her, then I'd hate to see what it's done.
Radio waves and electricity are non-ionizing, right? They don't cause cancer. Like your cell phone doesn't cause cancer.
It does when you have electrodes in you, because the electricity overpowers your body's natural electricity. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware your body works off electricity.
Yeah.
Well, if they have got implants and they've inserted them in, how do I know? That's the thing. They could have been genuinely electrocuting her at the same time as me. And that's why I want to push for the scan. But even my mental health workers are like, look, Jed, I think you're making this up. By the way, my real name is Jed. They're just, people are taking the piss, my friend. Like, they really are. They're like, you're mentally unwell. You're doing this because you're doing this. It's your brain overdrive. And it's like, fuck off, man. I've proved this beyond reasonable doubt. Like, it's so insulting. Like, this is the problem. I am not talking to electrical engineers who can prove this for me. Like, I did just recently before send a message to Ada Poon. I sent her a letter. She's in the States, Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hope this letter reaches her because she'll understand this technology as much as I have. Well, she'll understand it better because she worked on it. She's actually lively put these in rats and in the back of their spines, and every single time, which was really funny when you read the research. All she did was she found the brain frequency, the actual the electrical signal that made the rat want to eat. Just literally put it on a computer. She pressed a button, and every time she pressed this button, the rat would go sniff, sniff, sniff. There's food. Go and eat. She would stop at eating, then basically she'd just press the button again, and the rat would go and eat.
She just have it like wired to make the rat think it's hungry.
Basically. But you see, there was no wires in there. It was done.
Oh, it was just completely wireless.
Wireless optogenics.
Oh, so she had these things inside this rat.
Yes, I'll show you the documentation if you want. Hang on, I'll pull it out. I think it's an American. It's definitely American university because it's got the .edu on the end.
Yeah. I know where Stanford is.
Yeah, dude, like literally, if I could go there and talk to this woman, I would literally talk to her and say, look, test is like, the signals of the brain, make me do something, to prove it, but I haven't got the money to go and fly over there. Well, they've tapped my phone line, which means they can stop everything coming in and out, which is really sad.
Does that happen frequently?
Yeah, because I use VPNs, and you know what a VPN is, don't you? Whenever I connect to one, my internet will not work. I've got to disconnect from it. If you just search in there, you'll see the rat. And then you'll see the light transfer. So basically picking up energy from a light. And then if you go to the third one, it's got wireless power transfer to micro implants. If you see at the bottom, it says see resources page for additional information and download for using this method. If you click on the resources page,
okay,
you will see do it yourself wireless optogenics. So I'll just post this as well, just in case you can't find it.
I'm there. I found it.
Oh, all right. So you'll see the basically got a stainless steel dome. If you see that, that's what my walls are like. The cavities. That's how they're doing this.
DIY. That's interesting that they have that as like they have that published on the Stanford website.
Dude, I know. So I don't know who worked on this technology, whether it was Germany, whether it was the Five Eyes. I'm sure you know who the Five Eyes are. The Five Eyes. So you've got America, Britain, Germany, India, and another one I can't remember, but they're the five big spying organizations for each country, and they all joined together recently. I'm sure you're well aware the NSA and Britain, GCHQ, have been talking and communicating with each other a lot because you guys give us a lot of funding. Well, that's the Five Eyes. I don't know whether it was them or it's just Germany. But I am more than fully willing to go on the record, like if I had to go and stand up in a court, as long as I was in a Faraday cage where there was no input signals and someone put me on a lie detector test, it would come up positive that I haven't lied.
I believe that you feel these things.
Like, dude, I can literally get a magnet and it will stick to my arm. I have literally cleaned it with alcohol wipes, so there's no sweat, there's nothing, and these things will hang upside down, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that makes a MRI seem deadly almost.
Now you see why I've been cancelling some scans. I just want an X-ray scan, but you see, I think GCHQ are going to cover this up because this is an embarrassment. They've been caught, and I've caught them. And no matter who I go to, whether it be the police, the hospital, I can't get any results. They're just like, here's the crisis team, the mental health workers, they will help you. Like, fuck straight off. They've not helped me one fucking
Do
bit.
you think these other, like, you go to the police and whatever else, do you think they are in on it?
They might be, I don't know. But you see, when you start talking about this kind of stuff, people go, all right, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, I think you've
Yeah.
been reading a bit too much. I don't know, dude, unless I actually feel their neck. And, I'm not about to go to a police officer and say, hang on, mate, let me just feel your neck to see if you've got
Yeah.
implants as well.
Yeah, that
Do you
wouldn't.
know what I'm saying? There's nothing I can do, dude. I am literally trapped. I've never felt so trapped in my entire life.
Yeah. Has this, like, affected, like work life and personal, like, relationships, whatever?
Dude, yes, like I have no life. I am literally, I'm telling my side of the story before the killers or they boil my blood enough because I've already started coughing up blood. Stop this. They're winning and there's nothing I can do, which is why I literally ask you if you could help me prove this. In a sense, just post my research, everything I've done,
Would
if you can.
Would you mind if I
That's all I
posted
ask
this
of you.
call?
I know it might make you, yeah, you 100%, you can post this call. I invite people to my house to come investigate this as well.
It's interesting. I hope this gets some traction and you can get some answers and, get a good night's sleep every now and then.
Dude, dude, for once, I would love to because you see, I go to sleep and they start electrocuting me and I wake up all sweaty, all cooked. There's nothing I can do. All they're asking me to do is go to Munich, Germany, and join the spying program. That's all they've offered me. In my head, they've said to me, "We will give you £120,000 to come work for us." And I am not about to join Germany. If I was going to join anyone, it would be GCHQ because they are my country. I am dedicated for my country, and my country doesn't love me for some reason.
Well, the big, like, Germany's part of the five spy organizations that are together, right?
Yes,
So couldn't working for them also benefit Great Britain?
it could, but I don't want to. I would much rather work for my own country or a Western country like America, which is the truth. I would love to work for the NSA and help them crack code because that's all I do all day, dude. I crack it. I crack encryption. I crack things. That's what I've been interested in since I was 17. No, since I was 13. Sorry, I've been interested in writing code, writing loads of different stuff. Like you can search my blog. I do post programs. I've cracked the Xenon executable format myself. I've basically reverse engineered Xbox 360 games. I haven't posted all of my code because some of it I don't want to post because it is very
Yeah,
sensitive,
it's
like some of the
probably,
stuff I've worked on.
if it gets in the wrong hands, it could be bad news.
I've got enough, dude. I have got enough computing power to crack something in not a short amount of time. I cannot crack GBG and stuff like that. I haven't got that much computing power, but I've got enough. I've got 3 servers here. Each one's got 8 cores. We've got 32 gigabytes of RAM. My desktop has enough GPU power. I've got multiple NVIDIA GPUs. I've got an AMD 4 core. I've got a laptop. I've got enough computing power to build my own little relay system and prove this. Dude, you're the first person that's actually taken me not seriously, but listened to my side of the story. I'm really thankful for that. Thank you
Things like
very
this
much for listening.
pique my curiosity, and I don't like to pawn everybody off as, wacko, crazy person that needs to be locked up.
Crazy nut job. Just, dude, I have now told you all this. If anything dodgy or anything nasty happens to you, I am so sorry. I mean it. I don't know who you are. I don't want to know who you are. Keep that to yourself. I just know you as. That's all I know you as. But do remember, if the NSA are involved, then,
I mean, it's a risk I'm willing to take.
dude, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your time. This has been interesting, and, I like to hear about this kind of stuff, so thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, dude. Thank you very much for recording the call as well. I give you full permission to do whatever you want with the information I've given you. All the recordings, everything. It's
Okay.
up to you what you want to do.
Thank you very much.
No problems.
All right, have a good rest of your day, man.
You too, man. Ciao.
See ya. Well, that was interesting. I hope nothing crazy happens to me now. I don't want to wake up with cold sweats and whatever, getting poked by things in my neck and feeling heat all the time. I don't know. I wish that guy the best of luck, I guess. But thanks for listening to this. Until next time.